Hey guys, it's Zeek here. I work for Batchman as an article writer, and today I'm going to be showing you a plugin I've created called List. I have the binary and the source code available on my GitHub, Zeek05/batchlist. So, let's say you need to deal with a list of values in Batch. Say we have three separate items, and we want to store them or manipulate them, or we just want to create a list of items. In normal Batch, that would be pretty difficult. You'd have to deal with a lot of string manipulation functions. It would be pretty tedious to deal with it. But I've put a lot of that functionality into this one plugin. So if you need to deal with essentially a list type like you would find in Python or C#, etc., this plugin can help you with that. So first, let me demonstrate the help page. List, you can use the dash or the / to do the help page. In the help page, I have a quick explanation of how the function works, as well as the flags and commands that you have. This is one style of doing commands for the list, and this is another style of doing it, and these are the parameters. Here's some examples of the general syntax. You have the list function, the name of the list, the command, and then the parameters. At the end of the command that you have for the list, you can attach a /v, and that will just increase the logging level. I wouldn't recommend using that for normal applications. It should be only used for debugging. Here I have exit codes. This is some special exit codes that the program will give you in case there's a specific error, and you can use this inside of your program to do error correction and error reporting. And a developer note here. The program will error if the list file does not exist. Use /nl. This is a command to create a list. So what it's trying to tell you is if you do not have a list file already made, or you haven't created one, it won't do anything. It will throw an error. So it does not create a new list file if you do an operation on it. In order to create a list, we're going to do list and then the list name. So I'm going to call it example. And I'm going to use the /nl, or I can do new, as there's two different styles of doing the list command. I'll just do /nl. It will return nothing, and we should have an error code 0. Yes, we have an empty list here. So let's say we want to add some data to it. As you can see down here, there's 4 different functions that we can do to do basic manipulation of the list. Push, pop, append, and pop back. These two deal with items in the front of the list. These two deal with items in the back of the list. Down here we also have insert, where you can insert an item at any point in the list. So for example, let's push list, the list name, and then add front or push. We can do push or add front /af. Let's add some data. Let's add just the number 1. We get nothing. We should have an error code 0 there. As you can see here, we have our 1 inside of our list. It is the first item in the list, and if there were other values, this would be at the top. The push command or the add front command adds the item to the top of the list. Let's add some more values. 2, 3, and 4. We should see inside a Notepad+, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Like I said before, the add front or push command will add items to the top of the list. Let's say we want to remove the item from the top of the list. You can do something like, keep in mind the list name is case sensitive. Remove front or pop. If we do /rf, it will simply remove the item from the list and return it to the screen. So we've removed the top item from the list. If we open it up, we should see it's just 3, 2, 1. Now, let's say you don't want to deal with adding stuff to the top of the list. You want to append something to the back of the list, similar to adding something in a line. Append value /ab, add back. Let's add the number 5. If we open this, you should see that we have added it to the back of the list. Now, if we had done this with add front, it would be at the top of the list, but we have added it to the back of the list. Let's add some more. 6, 7. I'm gonna reload it. As you can see, we have 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 7. Now, what if we want to remove something from the back of the list? We can just simply do RB, and then it should remove... Yep, it should remove the item from the end of the list. Just to note, typically, I like to call the top of the list the head, and the end of the list the tail. So 3, in this case, is the head of the list, it's the first item, and 6 is the end of the list, it's the tail. And these two functions, the AF adds to the head of the list, and the AB adds to the tail of the list. So we have this list here, and what if we want to get a specific value? Let's go back into command prompt. Let's say we want to get the value at, or right about here. Let's try and get 5. We need the index of this value. So this is the index 0, the list is 0 indexed. This is index 1, 2, and 3. So we need to get index 3 of the list. It's as simple as getting list example, and you can either specify GI for get item or get. Get, I'm going to use get in this case, just for simplicity, and we need to get index 3. We should get the value stored at index 3, which is 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5. Let's do another example. Let's try and get the last item in the list. Every time you do an operation on the list, the program will refresh the list just to make sure that the updates have changed. Even things like getting a value will do this, so it will warn you if the list has been modified in programs like Notepad++. Let's try and get the last item in the list. 3, 2, 1, 5, 6. So this is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, index 4. And we are correct. The item at index 4 is 6. Now let's say we want to remove an item. So let's say we want to remove 1 here, the item at the middle of the list. We know that this is at index 0, 1, 2. It's at index 2. It's as simple as doing list example remove, or remove at index 2. It will print out the item that has been removed, and if we refresh the page, it has removed the item from the list. What was once at index 2 is now what is at index 3. So let's say we don't know where a value is in our list, or we don't want to know, and we want to remove a specific value. We can use remove where or RW, and we can remove an item from the list if it contains a value. So let's try and remove the number 5. We know that it's at index 2, but we don't want to use the index 2 in our program. Let's simply use remove where 5. It will return the item that we removed. If it isn't in the list, like for example, if we call this again, it will say value 5 is not in the list. As you can see, it removed the item in the list just by us specifying the value. This is useful in programs where you don't know the length of the list, but you want to remove cases of a specific value. So we have this list now, 3, 2, and 6. Pretty short list of only 3 items. What if we want to insert something between 2 and 6? So we want to insert something at index 2 and have the current location of index 2 become index 3. List. We can use either insert or insert at /ia. So let's just use /ia. We need to specify the index and the value. So we know that our item is at index 0, 1, 2. We need to replace the item at index 2 with whatever we want to replace. Once we replace this item, this index here, the current value, will be pushed down to index 3. So let's say we want to replace index 2 with 17. We refresh the page. There we go. Item 17 has been added between 2 and 6. So let's say we want to find a value. Let's say we don't know where 6 is, and we want to return the index of that item. So we can use list example Let's find our item, and we can use either find or find value /fv. Find, we need to find the value of 6. It will return index 3. As you can see here, 0, 1, 2, 3. We know this is correct. 6 is at index 3. Let's say we want to get the length of our list. It's pretty simple. You call list example /ll, which is a list length, or get length. I'm going to use /ll. If we call this function, it will return 4. It's size 4. Now, some people might get confused here. This is the last item, 6, and it's at index 3, but the size is 4. Keep in mind, the list is 0 indexed. This counts as one item, this counts as the second item, this counts as the third item, this counts as the fourth item. But this is at index 0. So even though the last item is 3, the actual size of the list is 4. The tip to note is that the last item of the list is the size minus 1. So if you have a list that is of size 32, the last item in the list is 31, and the first item of the list is 0. That's the index. But let's say we want to print every single value that's in this list. First, let me remove the new lines that I've created there. List example, and you can use either /gl or get entire list or print. I'm going to use print. As you can see, it's printed each item on a new line, just like this, onto the screen. Now, let's say we want to get the length of a specific item in the list. So we want to get how many characters it is. So let's first add an item to the list. List example, I'm going to append an item. We just did this above in add back. This is just the alternate style of the command. I'm going to append hello world. So this program's been modified. Hello world is in our list. It is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth item in the list. Let's say we want to get the size of this item in the list. We can either use size of or /il, item length. Instead of list length, it's item length. So we know it's at index 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 13. Now, this number is the number of characters excluding the new line. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It is correct. We have 13 characters in this string. Now, what happens if we specify the fifth item in the list? As you can see, there's an empty space here, but it's still counted as a line. There's a new line here. The list program will crash if this happens. It's a known bug that I'm currently working on, but as long as you make sure that you are not accessing the item that is right after the edge of the list, like you're doing proper bounds checking, etc., you should have no issue with the plugin. Now I just want to demonstrate the error code. For example, if we have index out of bounds, this is an error code 3 you can get. Let's say we try and get list example get -1. It's going to give you an error code. It's going to say index and then the index you specified out of bounds. It'll say negative index or too big, and it'll give you the usage. The same happens if we get an item that is way too big. So this is index 20 and we have only 4 indexes here. So it will notify you if it's either a negative index or if it's too big. But we should check the error level here. And as you can see, error level 3 matches up with the error level specified in our program, index out of bounds. So this is especially useful if you want to have dynamic programs that will be checking a lot of information at once, especially information that you might not exactly know what's in it. So you can adapt your program to errors as they happen. Here's a demonstration of the plugin. This is using a for loop, so instead of having a bunch of push commands, we're actually using a push command inside of a for loop, and we're evaluating the for loop with delayed expansion. So this demonstration right here generates a list of random numbers, and the user specifies how long that list is. So I'm just going to delete all these lists. For now, I'm going to open up the program, and it says enter the length of the list. So let's say we want 16 items. The program exited quickly. I don't believe I had a pause in there, that's why. If I open up demo list, we should have 16 separate items. This is the index 0, and this is index 15. But in total, we have 16 items, and they're random numbers in this case. So I think this little demonstration program really shows the power of the plugin. You can easily create lists of data and manipulate them, and I plan on adding additional functions like sorting and flipping and reversing lists in version 2 of the program. But this set of commands right here already is incredibly powerful, and there's quite a lot of stuff you can do with this plugin. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will have a link to the GitHub as well as the future article that I will be posting on Batchman about this plugin in the description. Thank you for watching.